welcome to Oops All Dragons. We've got like a little, hopefully a shorter episode today because we have some
we're getting
hot
right into it today.
Issue. You guys, if you follow along with the community at all, if you're on the internet, if you are on Twitter, if you are on Tumblr, then you have heard about Wizards of the Coast and Daddy Hasbro doing some stuff, and there's been a leak of some implied changes to some very foundational stuff as far as the legal and business side of the game.
And we're going to get into that with the caveat being, like you said, Lisa, this is a leak, so nothing's official yet. But there have been statements that have been made about it, so like it's, things have progressed since that initial leak came out.
It's been a really fun week on D&D internet.
Reddit, D&D internet,
week.
Any of it.
Yeah. Has it only been like a week? Has it been 2 weeks? How long has it been?
It's been only a week, I think. But yes, we'll do the perfunctory. Yes, go to our Patreon, patreon.com/OGL. Get us on YouTube, get us on Spotify. We're doing the call to action early this time.
Yeah. I did make the Tumblr, oopsalldragons.tumblr.com.
You did it!
There's nothing on it yet. I have not made the theme yet. I'm working on it. But it's there. You can go. You can click follow.
It's just going to be full of your characters, isn't it?
No, I'm just going to reblog memes. It's going to be mostly Dimension 20 memes.
Okay.
And nobody can stop me.
Uh-oh. Okay, that's fair.
Like, who's going to check me?
Okay, so...
Yeah,
the one and only topic today.
That would be the place for this kind of news would get posted on, is the OGL, the Open Gaming License, the thing that a lot of people rely on to be able to put out third-party content freely and openly with no barriers.
No, and yeah. And let's, where do you even start with this? So let's stipulate that this...
Let's define some terms. I guess.
So...
I mean, like, everybody and their mom has already, like, given their 2 cents about it, has added their 2 cents to the discourse.
Yeah,
and you know what? I'll be damned if we don't, too.
Exactly. And I'm going to have a bit of I think a bit of a differing opinion than you might think. But yeah, so the OGL, the Open Game License... And it basically lets mostly third-party publishers like Kobold Press use the SRD, the system's reference document, that has essentially the basic rules of D&D, some basic, creatures, class stuff. That's about it. Basically all the free shit you get from D&D Beyond, without buying any of the books, is SRD stuff. So that's open for anyone to use. So the OGL is that open gaming license that says anyone publishing stuff can use this, specifically how it's spelled out here. So instead of you having to reword and from the ground up, re-explain D&D 5e for a 5e adventure module you're creating or writing to resell, you can just reference this thing that's already been created as there.
It makes it easier for you to be able to go on DM's Guild and post the thing that you are adding to your game, your homebrew.
Sure. And that's essentially it from just like a copyright trademark perspective. Like, I think we both just watched a legal video. So like trademark that covers
today.
That
I
covers
should say for posterity. It is currently Saturday, January 14th, 2023, for a nice little time capsule.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure in the future this episode's not going to make any sense.
Things are going to change around a bit. But you just saw it. Like, trademark would be things like Tiamat, the Forgotten Realms, proper nouns that Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro owns. Those are trademarked. No one can use those. That's their stuff to use and license out for fees and all of that. That's how trademark works. Mm-hmm. Versus copyright, I think he gave the example of like
Monopoly,
like Uncle Pennybags, Rich Uncle Pennybags in Monopoly. Like they can copyright the character, they can copyright the board, but you can't copyright mechanics. That's never been a thing.
Or trademark them.
Yeah. So like you can't copyright hit points. You can't like, no one can own the concept of hit points. No one can own the concept of rolling dice and attributes and all that stuff. So when you initially like pointed this out to me, like, is this going to affect us? I was like, fuck no, it's not going to affect us. It's not going to affect us. It's not going to affect Critical Role probably, because you know, you might be new to the situation like this, but like coming from someone who, you know, if you're really into like Let's Plays a couple years ago, like Wii U era, going into like Switch stuff, Nintendo was really against Let's Plays, letting Smash Brawl or any of their stuff be posted up on the internet, even though it was people playing it, and that starts to fall into the gray area of what's a transformative work.
Yeah, I remember that that moment online, because I used to, well, I say I used to, I'm still friends with a bunch of people who are in the like competitive Smash community, competitive like gaming community, and I remember that moment online where it was like, are we going to be able to continue doing this?
Does Nintendo own their tournament? Guess what? No, they don't.
No.
Like, and to, you know, go even even the step beyond that, the granddaddy of like, you know, we want to own everything associated with this, like the NFL. Like if I make a podcast about football, or
I thought you were gonna say Disney.
you show a clip of, no, like you know how much permission you have to show like a fucking NFL game, like any part of it on like regular TV. But then when it comes to like the internet or discussion or making a podcast or anything like that, like, do they own my podcast now that I mention the NFL or I talk about the NFL game?
Or do I owe the NFL money for mentioning it?
Exactly. And the answer is no. Because, yeah, that's all under fair use. That all, you know, falls under that. So just like, from my perspective, a lot of the reaction to this has been from folks who just like, something's changed. I see dollar signs.
Yeah.
They want to like, they being, you know, Hasbro, corporate, you know, whoever this came from, wants to monetize a lot more of D&D as a whole. But like D&D isn't just a franchise. D&D is a how do I put this? Like,
it's a system. It's like
it's not even that. It's a community, and so much of it is community driven.
Right. That was one of the things that I read. You know, it could entirely be a hearsay. You know, very likely hearsay, but something that makes sense to me as somebody who, like, I have dealt with the kind of person who would say something like, the community is under-monetized. That's not the right word, but essentially
that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, and like if I was the CEO of Hasbro and I just bought this company, I just bought Wizards of the Coast, and I see that, like, yeah, fine, they make their money. I
figured out how I wanted to word it. Sorry. D&D owned by Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast, Tiamat, The Forgotten Realms, all that's a franchise, but D&D is also an industry.
Right.
Like, and just like any industry, you can't own everything about it. Like, like especially like one that's been so community driven from the beginning.
Right. You can own a single fast food restaurant. You can own a McDonald's, but you can't own the concept of a fast food restaurant.
You can't own the concept of the hamburger.
Right. But as I was saying, it's like I can understand from the perspective of like a higher up who, like, it maybe isn't, most likely doesn't really understand what it is that they're dealing with.
Yeah.
To look at this and go, okay, yes, we sell the books and like we sell the subscriptions. Now that we own D&D Beyond, we sell the subscriptions to that, and that's cool. And like, there's some other little things, you know, they sell like the officially licensed minis and special box sets and all this. And they have like licensed events and all this, but then they can see that there is this whole like industry on Etsy where people are selling art and minis and third-party content that is compatible with
competitors, like I said, Kobold Press, like these guys who put out their
all
own
the stuff
books.
on DM's Guild.
Yeah,
I use DM's Guild. I'm like constantly scrolling on DM's Guild for like inspiration for stuff, and like there's people on there who like, yeah, there's content on there that's free, there's content that's pay what you want, there's content on there that's like $5, $10, whatever, but it's like, you know, it's still that's another like storefront for content that is compatible with ostensibly their IP. But like you said, it's the stuff that they've made is protected under the OGL. And I can understand how they would want to like try to tap into that market, which is where I can like, okay, I understand why they would put that stipulation of like, okay, if you make third-party content and you make over this amount of money, then you do have to pay us a certain amount, which like, let's be entirely honest, for a lot of smaller third-party content creators, like independent third-party content creators, people who are just like maybe put out one book or one document.
Yeah, a company that's character. Like one person.
Right. That's not even a company, just like a single guy who's self-published. Yeah. A single like villain, right? Like that's not really gonna affect you. It's really gonna affect your like, yeah, your Kobold Presses, your bigger like. Before D&D Beyond was owned by Wizards of the Coast, it would have affected D&D Beyond. So I understand the panic as soon as you start seeing like dollar signs on this document, but like I understand how that decision could have come to have passed, and I can understand that like, yeah, no, that was a bad call. That was clearly a decision made by somebody or a group of people, because let's be honest, these decisions in a company in a company that large, you know, that is a subsidiary of another company, it's going to be multiple people sitting down making these decisions. They have lawyers that are hired, that are like part of the company. They have company lawyers that are sitting writing this document that they don't know what it is that they're dealing with. And they could think that, oh, yeah, no, this is great. Like, they think that they're still allowing, you know, the freedom for like smaller community, grassroots, individual, independent content creation, but like, let's just tap into like the big dogs. But it starts to feel like it's encroaching on
I was gonna say
that territory. So
like to this, there's been two big responses. Like the first one has been like, oh, this company is entitled to monetize whatever they want. And then the other one has been, oh my god, panic, cancel your D&D Beyond subscriptions.
Right.
And like in the short term, those first folks are essentially right, because changing the OGL to what was leaked probably wouldn't affect a lot of people day to day. It's not going to affect you and me with our games. It's not going to affect a lot of people putting out D&D stuff. But the folks who are seeing these changes, not liking them, and canceling and voting with their wallet immediately, I think they're in the right, because like, yes, these rules, if they were changed today, to have the residuals essentially built into it, looking, essentially requiring community policing, it's putting in this framework that's saying, like Hasbro and whoever, like, they're entitled to a cut of just all the D&D, which is essentially antithetical to the original intent of the original OGL. The whole point of it was that so one company wouldn't own all of D&D.
Right. And
it puts that framework into place that even if the rules are fine today, that there's no guarantee that, the folks with the good intentions of saying, like, it's only for XYZ, are going to be there forever, because they're not. And, someone else who takes on later on, now they're in this environment of monetization, and now they're able to push it further for everything. So I think even though in some cases it's kind of overblown and some people don't understand the nuances of what the changes actually mean, I think the reaction of it's a negative thing overall is the correct response, because we're talking about capitalism in 2023. It's an inherently anti-consumer system that we live under. So give them an inch and they'll eventually take a mile.
Yeah, exactly. At this point, I think I had more to say 2 days ago before they put out the statement.
We could talk about that as well, because we were talking about the initial leak, but now I think yesterday? Was it 2 days ago yesterday?
Yesterday on
put out
Beyond
a statement on it, yeah.
Yeah, which, first of all, let me say, very clever use of their platforms. They just bought this thing this year and they're already using it to put out official statements. Great. Yeah, I think that's actually a really useful way that they're using this as a tool to communicate very directly with a large swath of the community. The
very engaged community. A lot of people use D&D Beyond.
Yeah, I actually think that's kind of cool. Outside of everything else, I think this is like very few companies doing anything, even though, yes, we have Twitter for however much longer we have Twitter. Yes, we have the internet, we have methods of communicating.
Just as an aside, I've always thought that using Twitter as a means of communication has been a fucking stupid thing, even way before the Elon Musk thing.
Yeah. No, it's always been dumb. But you cannot deny that it has given the audience and the consumer more access to the sellers, right?
In some cases.
Yeah. I mean, whatever. That's beside the point.
Their statement,
right? They essentially just say hey, what you saw was a draft, and we're updating the language. We understand that what you saw you did not like. The community is not liking what we did, and they're basically supposedly sincerely trying to say whoopsie.
Yeah.
That was never our intention. We understand that the community we freaked y'all out, and that was not our intention. The things that you're accusing us of was never our intention, that we never wanted to paywall the ability to add to the game, that we understand that the game, the whole purpose of the OGL is to make it so that the game is highly accessible as for not just players, but for people creating things to be companions to the games. I mean, yeah, any of this third-party content has always had to have compatible with D&D on it, not necessarily saying this is from D&D or for D&D. It's not from the company. It's not from the company, but it's compatible with the rules that is in the content that is from the that. Their intention was not necessarily, according to this, was not necessarily to pull
some
the
of the
rug out from under the community.
Some of the major things they pointed out is that they wanted a framework for cracking down on
stuff people don't like.
No. Specifically, things that target marginalized communities, which I don't think I've actually seen a published book that have there
included
been
hateful and discriminatory products.
Yeah,
we wanted the ability to prevent the use of D&D content from being included.
I mean, you already had that ability already. If someone published a book with hey, the Nazis are great, you could shut them down. D&D.
I mean, that's real big coming from the company that published Curse of Strahd, but that's another conversation.
But like I'm saying, it's
I know
they're saying they want to crack down on something they already could have done.
Yeah,
avoid things like D&D and stuff being used for NFTs. Again, you all would have to be the ones doing that to for it to be an official. Otherwise, like, yeah, the NFT market is just the NFT market, kind of the Wild West of people just stealing other people's stuff.
Because I mean, they already had the right to strike down people using their official art and like official characters, stuff that's not covered in the original OGL. They already had the right to cover that, to strike that. So what it feels like is, from what I understand from the difference of like the original OGL and OGL 1.1 is that there's basically a little bit of like a tightening up, and that stipulation of the like having to pay royalties. That
I will say, I think whoever put out that or you know, composed that statement, I like just reading it. I think I you know, believe they believe what they're saying, and I believe they think those are all like, you know, good things. And yes, it like, sure, but then they're kind of obfuscating from the point of like, the whole goal of these proposed changes was that they could get a bigger cut of the pie. Yeah. Like, starting to encroach on, you know, more transformative works and say, hey, we're entitled to a part of that. Right. When, like, no, that's not the case. So that's why I go back to say, like, in the short term, it may not be an issue. Like, yeah, cancel your D&D Beyond subscription. Like, show them, like, if they're still it looks like they're still going to do some changes according to this statement, but they're getting rid of a lot of the royalty stuff, like you mentioned, but show them that that like, we're it, you know, without us, like, this is nothing. We would just move on to a different system, some other thing. Paizo, hey, you know what? I talk shit about Pathfinder all the time because I played a fucking ton of it. I'll go back to play it if it's, you know, the company that's being like, yeah, we're open, anyone can use our stuff, no problem. Because they came out of the OGL. Yeah. Like, they understand how useful it is for just, like, tabletop as a culture, not from like a capitalistic perspective.
And again, they can't copyright the rules, so you could do the work of rewriting all the rules in different language, presenting it in a new way, but it could be essentially the exact same rules, and as long as it's presented differently, you're good. Yeah. You're good. You like, can still play the exact same game.
That was my big thing of, I mean,
because I think the funny thing, so something that I find ironic, right? The halfling, right? The whole reason the halfling. I was gonna say the
Tolkien estate is gonna have some words with you if you really want to push this.
They're like, oh, okay, you wanna play like this, then like we're gonna get back into the halfling debate, because like that's what they did. That's what D&D had to do. D&D already had to do this against somebody else, and now they're gonna be the bad guys. Like, no, don't do that.
Yeah, like,
and I do have to say also, for the sake of, you know, giving the company the benefit of the doubt. Although, I mean, like, let's be real, it's still a corporation. You can only
That's exactly why I'm not.
Yeah. Because up to now, it still is like a community driven. A lot of the people at Wizards itself are people who are grew up in the community and are part of the community. There is a desire in me to give them the benefit of the doubt, and also given that just like over the past couple months, you know, as far as like their willingness to take community feedback. I mean, just look at how they're doing 1D&D with the rollouts and taking community feedback and updating things. Like, we know that they are willing to take community feedback, at least on the product side. Now, it's waiting to see if like they are sincere about taking community feedback on the business end of things.
Like, that's why I say, like, all the folks working at D&D Beyond, Wizards, all those folks involved with this, yeah, a bunch of them probably have had some exposure to D&D. They get it. But this is probably coming from above
lawyers.
them.
It's coming from lawyers.
No, not even lawyers, probably the C-suite. Like, folks who see, like, hey, this made X amount last year as an industry, but we only got this much. We want all of it. That's what capitalism is. So, like, this looks like the in my opinion, disclaimer, not saying I have any sort of inside knowledge, but from my knowledge of politics and history and economics, it looks like the staging ground to eventually, once one way or another, those folks who, for the love of the game, are in Wizards, once they move out and more folks of like watching the bottom line get in place, setting that table to say, okay, let's be even more restrictive with this in the future.
Yeah,
because
let's try to squeeze the community even more.
Because if their plan for one D&D just being the last version of D&D that just gets continuously updated is the plan, they have one set of rules that they can change whenever. They have one OGL that says who can use what for what whenever. They can change those terms at whatever point. Do the old Darth Vader. The terms have changed. Pray I don't change them further. So yes, I understand that companies want to make money, but fuck them. Like, it's
get
like
creative, do something else.
We made this, and if we let you, you'll probably ruin it. So fuck them. I don't care.
They need to figure out a different way to, within the confines of their product identity and within the confines of their IP, make money that isn't squeezing the community. That's because if you think, I'm sure that there are a number of people who work at Wizards who came up through making third-party content.
Mm-hmm.
So they're screwing themselves out of even future employees.
That's the thing about capitalism, Lisa. It isn't very forward thinking.
No, I know.
So
to lack the foresight to even, because I think this is them testing the waters to see what they can get away with. So immediately you have to go, no, do not get off the counter. What the fuck are you doing?
Canceling all of our shit.
Yeah. Listen, it's not that I've endorsed pirating the books before, but I definitely have said that you can Google literally any book and find a PDF. Don't patronize these people for a minute until they show that they can act right.
To those folks arguing online or whatever, companies, allowed to do whatever they want. No. But beyond that, sure, they can make whatever changes or try to make whatever changes they want. And we could say, fuck them and move on and not give them any more of our money. Because, D&D is in this, unique position where it's basically a set of rules. No one plays D&D for I gotta, have a monetized campaign that I stream and run that it deeply involves the Forgotten Realms. No, I'm just gonna make up my own shit.
Yeah.
And
I can guarantee you that if you're a person who enjoys actual play shows, you're enjoying third-party content.
Yeah.
The entire world of Exandria, that is third-party content. Critical Role is a third party. Dimension 20 is a third party. Yeah. NADPOD is a third party.
The only thing this does
Badlands is a third party.
The only thing this does now is if someone wanted to somehow monetize playing Minds of Phandelver or following a published module, now it's I have to give a cut back to Wizards.
Oh, that
if they're
actually
going
that
this route.
does pose an interesting thing because Adventure Zone, the McElroy one,
Mhm.
their first season of Adventure Zone started off
Minds of Phandelver.
with Minds of Phandelver and then developed into like the first couple
That
of
would be
episodes was
interesting.
just them straight up playing.
I was
Minds
gonna
of
say
Phandelver.
that's the argument of like fair use and transformative work. Like it starts with this module, but then turns into something completely different. And it's also like they
Right,
don't
but
they change the character's name to Barry Blue Jeans or something like that.
Every single character, every single like character, all of the NPCs, their names get changed.
Yeah, so like now it's not the same thing, sir.
It's almost kind of prophetic. I don't know. Maybe they knew something that we don't. That like
no,
every
I think they're
character-
just dummies. Like I've listened to it. I've listened to that
don't-
campaign. I think they're just dummies. But I do like the name Barry Blue Jeans.
Barry Bleach is a great name. But that campaign's fucking brilliant. I don't know how far you got into it. Anyway, not the point. This was supposed to be a short episode. Anyway,
I mean,
this is.
I was gonna say we're nearly there, but I was gonna say. So, any last thoughts? Yeah.
I think my
this, so
only
we can
parting
button it up.
thought is that this is not going to stop me from playing the game though.
Yeah.
I've read a lot of like commentary on Tumblr from people being like, "Well, D&D's a shitty system anyway. Blah blah blah. Go play a better
like,
game."
no, it's not.
It's not a shitty system. It's like
it's one of the best.
If you've ever watched a fantasy movie, it's actually pretty intuitive. If you've ever played a video game,
if you've played other
intuitive.
RPG systems,
if you've ever played any other RPG system,
some of them are so clunky.
Yeah,
Pathfinder's become better. White Hack is okay.
I understand that Fate's a great system too.
Fate's completely different.
Yeah, it's a completely different system. And like, you know what? I like the system. So I'm gonna keep playing the game. And like I'm just not gonna give them money.
I was gonna say, like playing the system and giving them money are two different things.
I still enjoy the product. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Is like you don't have to. I think
I mean, it's not even it's not even a product. It's the system, like you said.
Right.
Like, it makes it easy for us to understand.
When I say the product, I do mean also like the source books, and I like some of the adventures.
Hell, I like D&D Beyond as a product.
D&D Beyond as a product, incredible.
Yeah.
Like, I still enjoy the product. So, like, that's not going to stop me from enjoying the product. It's just, like, going to make me hesitant to give the company itself money.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was about to be like, we live in a society, but yeah, we live in a society that's not... I feel like in today's age, like, I feel like people are very reactive on instinct, and, like, it's not a bad thing. But sometimes you need to take a step back and think and realize that, like, two things can exist at once. You can enjoy something and still be critical of it. I think that we are sort of getting to that point where, like, we can accept that. And, yeah, you don't have to throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah.
Keep
the system is the baby.
The system's the baby.
The system
business
is the baby.
is the bathwater.
That's going to be the title for this episode, by the way.
The system is the baby.
The system is the baby. And my final thought is I did, in fact, cancel my D&D Beyond subscription. Yeah, I still have the books or whatever that I bought, but just, again, to show them that, like you mentioned, it could be something I re-up in the future if, like, they make good and they show that, yeah, we're actually committed to, you know, not blowing up the community. Might be something to get back, but you know, at this point, showing them that this is going to cost them, coming back and saying, you know, D&D is not for the people anymore. D&D is for the corporation. Like, no, this is the emphatic no to that.
Yeah, there has to be something in the world left for the sake of joy and enjoyment. Like, I think that's the thing that depresses me the most about literally the fact that they were trying to make more money off of the community. It's just like, y'all, like, it's a hobby, it's a game, it's a community.
It was $130 million last year. Was that like profit or revenue? Do you know that?
I don't.
But still, yes.
Yeah.
Upper $100 million. Not enough.
Like, Hasbro, go sell some other board games. Like, go do something else.
They sell so many other things.
You sell so many other things. Like, go make a Monopoly movie or something. I don't know.
They did make a Battleship movie.
They did make a Battleship movie.
So,
like,
they made a Clue movie.
Go reboot Clue and make it shitty, because you'll never be able to do Tim Curry again.
You'll never be able to.
You'll never do Tim Curry again, but...
Yeah.
But, like, go try. Go do something else. Leave D&D
They
alone.
should do a Monopoly movie.
I mean, they've licensed D&D for the Chris Pine movie, and then there's also, like, it's also been licensed for a TV show.
I mean, there used to be a D&D show back in the 80s.
Yeah, there's a new one. There's a new one.
Yeah, now there's a new one apparently. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so, like, go do other shit with the IP. Go do other things with it. Leave the community alone.
I was gonna say, like, my last thought is just, like, even if they do make good, like, they've kind of fucked up the trust at this point.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
That, like, because something kind of similar happened with 4th edition, where there wasn't an OGL for that, and look what happened with that edition. No one played it. No one made anything for it. It fucking died. So just, like, even if they come back with, like, a make good, it's got to be. I don't think there's anything they could do that would fully restore the trust at this point. It's gonna take a lot of time and a lot of making good.
Yeah. Start kissing babies. Start kissing babies. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I think that's it.
Bye. Like, subscribe, share.
I was gonna say
Patreon.
Call to action.
Patreon. Check the description for any links things we mentioned. I really don't know what the fuck I just talked about for the last 30 minutes.
Get me the link for the Tumblr. I'll put it on all our stuff as well.
Yeah, we're gonna add that to the link tree.
Yeah.
Follow us on Tumblr.
All the description. I'm gonna put in all the descriptions now.
Follow us on Tumblr. Get all up in the Patreon so you can get into our Discord.
Yeah, boy.
And we can have this discourse more directly with y'all. I want to hear other people's opinions on this, because
leave it in the comments.
Leave it in the comments. Yeah. Like, because like I sort of alluded to in the pre-ramble before we did our actual intro, is I personally feel kind of disconnected from the D&D community as a whole. Like, I don't really go to the gaming stores. I don't really like interact too much online. No, I don't. I like my D&D community is really, like, it's the people that I play with.
The people we talk to on this podcast. It's the people that we talk to on
this podcast. Yeah, exactly. So, like, I really want to expand, sort of just, like, I want to get the full spectrum of, like, how people feel about these things.
Want the D&D friends.
Yes. I love the tea. It's part of it. But yeah, get all up in there. That was just a long way of saying, like, get on our socials, say hello.
Leave a comment, and we will respond.
Get in the comments.
Or if you're catching this on Spotify, give us the 5 stars. 5-star Frog Splash.
Yeah, if you're listening on Spotify, just let the whole episode run again. Just mute your phone. Let the whole episode run again.
Let it play.
Just let it play.
Just put all of our episodes. Just press play. Just leave it on mute.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Go do something else. You'll be fine. It'll be very helpful to us, and you won't regret the way that your Spotify Wrapped looks at the end of it.
Alright, that's the end of the episode.
Right, goodbye!
Bye.
Oops All Dragons is a group effort. Our show is edited by Noel Hernandez, our theme was composed by Brendan Lyons, and our logo art is by Azif On Q. Links to more of their work and their social media will be in the show notes. Find us on YouTube and Spotify, and check us out on Twitter and Instagram at Oops All Dragons.
So... Alright, and we're recording.
Hey, I know we said we were done, but that was a lie.
You thought we were done? You got extra episode.
Well, we thought we were done, and then more
We
stuff
thought we were
happened. So, the previous recording, I know I gave a date somewhere in there. It's whatever it was. Today, it is now Thursday, January 19th. And good God, so much has happened.
The last 2 weeks have just been a shit show. I know exactly what the title of this episode's going to be.
We recorded on Saturday? Sunday?
I think so.
Oh,
I think it was Saturday.
It's been a week. It's been a week already.
You wanted to post this up ahead of time, and it's like you couldn't make it for whatever reason, and that was a blessing because you're just that one day, a whole bunch of other shit just dropped about.
So let's quick timeline, right? Was it Tuesday night? A series of tweets and that informed a bunch of articles came out about some changes, some internal conversation at Wizards and Hasbro about changes to D&D Beyond subscriptions. Of their goal is to essentially, allegedly, their goal being to have people pay $30 a month.
Looking like a tiered subscription type of thing.
Like a tiered subscription, and their goal is to have people paying $30 a month. Considering that currently the highest subscription is, I think, $6 a month, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is what I just canceled.
They had 3 tiers, and one of them was free, so...
Yeah. I don't count the free tier. That's free.
I mean, it's a tier.
Right.
But, going from $6 to $30 a month.
It's a big leap. Like, even Netflix wouldn't make that leap. Like, I would almost... Again, whatever. So this tweet comes out, and that's what prompted me to go, we should probably add an addendum to the episode. And then Varun astutely was like, give it another, 2 days. And
guess what?
Yesterday we got another statement, official statement released on D&D Beyond's, site.
A much better one than the first one, I'll say.
Yeah.
The first one was like, "Oops, we did a bad. Oopsies."
Yeah. And then this one.
How could we have known?
How could we have known that this extremely tight-knit and vocal community, who is infamous for having a lot of ownership over their hobby, is going to react badly to changes that they were not involved in? Wow, crazy. Yeah, stupid. Hello. And again, I go back to my point that I'm sure I made before. I honestly can barely remember what I said on Saturday, but
don't let them know.
Listen, no, there may not be transparency at Wizards of the Coast, but here at Oops All Dragon Corp, you're gonna get perfect transparency. I have goldfish brain, and sometimes I don't know. I just want to
That's why you gotta listen back to our episodes. Myself. I actually do. Just as a side,
I do.
I listen back to our episodes. I actually really enjoy listening back to our episodes.
Yeah, when the episodes come out, it's like a brand new information to me. It's like the first time.
It's like I'm hearing this for the first time.
Listen, as a child, when I first saw Finding Nemo and Dory was like, "Hi, I'm Dory. Hi, I felt seen. I felt so seen." Anyways, not the point. What I was gonna say is, again, yeah, these are all probably decisions coming down from corporate masters who don't understand the product that they have. Hasbro has owned Wizards of the Coast for over 20 years at this point, and
I'll be referencing. I'll be referencing other people who've mentioned things about this, but just Crit Crab among the friend of the show, Crit Crab, among others have mentioned we're not in the D&D community. D&D is in our community, right. And you wanted to start blowing it up. All right, we're just gonna leave. We're just gonna leave you behind. So for the sake of this, I don't think we should touch on the leaks too much, because all of that, who knows how official it is.
It's a little bit of hearsay. I mean, I just wanted to mention it just because it fits into the timeline.
I'm just saying, for timeline wise,
For archival sake.
For archival, but because we got an official response since then, I don't think there's any point beyond saying just like $30, way too much.
Right.
For like 6 sweet spot, giving us like little things every month that we got for it, improving on like the free experience in like, you know, letting us have infinite characters when like Roll20 or Foundry or whatever would just let us do that. But like, all right, $6, cool. All right, for the Game Master tier, that was fine. $30? Fuck no. Like, I think that's if they're gonna pursue a strategy like that, that's the essential. That's like the fucking, if you're coming from video games, the loot box mentality of going after the whales, like going after trying to get more money out of an increasingly smaller pool of people. Which, if they go that way, like they think they're having trouble now. Ooh, people are gonna like quit D&D out of spite at that point.
Yeah, I know that my final note in the main body of this episode was that like none of this needs to stop you from playing D&D. But the thing is that like the realization I came to is what part of the, I don't want to call it panic, but what part of the reaction from a lot of like content creators and you know, like bigger fish in the community, what part of the like volatile reaction, even though like this most recent statement assuages any fears that like the OGL would even affect the kind of content that they make, but they still feel like the trust has been broken, and now doing anything that has to do with this product entirely feels icky. It just it's in the way of like I don't even know what else to compare it to necessarily, because it's kind of a unique thing where it's like, yes, the game itself,
I wouldn't feel bad about using like the 5e rules because like they're rules,
right? No, but I'm talking about the people who like Brendan Crabber. I just watched Jeannie D. She like put out like a little 2-minute video where essentially she just points to other people's videos, because what I'm noticing is that there's a sort of like burnout happening where a lot of these people who like are kind of connecting threads for the tabletop community online, as far as I see it at least, they're having a little bit of a crisis of career choice, where it's like, what am I gonna do now? Because there are some people who literally like their entire lives revolve around making content that is not just TTRPG focused, but like specifically D&D, and like this has burned the brand of, not even just the brand of Wizards of the Coast, but because D&D is, at the end of the day, let's not pretend that it's not, it is associated with Wizards. Like, it makes doing anything that has to do with them feel icky.
Yeah,
and feel
I got
bad.
that.
So like,
More
yeah, I could still play. I could still play 5e, but I'm thinking more in terms of like the people who make
content
stuff,
creation,
like,
who work with Wizards more directly.
Is people who are like sponsored by them. Like, it has really. I really came to understand your point of like the trust is broken in the community like inextricably. I came to understand that more over the last couple of days than when we originally had the conversation, because like, yeah, I'm feeling it. I'm seeing it.
They had something real good, and they decided to blow it up.
And now the question is, so like with
something
the
really
statement,
rare and really good.
I'm sorry, my heater just kicked on. I'm not turning it off. You guys are just gonna have to deal with it. But with the statement, the recent statement published yesterday, which was Wednesday, January 18th,
by
Kyle Brink.
Yep.
Wow. Dip.
Jinx.
Jinx. Yes. But yeah, with this statement, there's this like bullet point list of things that will not be impacted by the OGL. It makes me think, okay, what is going to be impacted by the OGL, and what is the point of updating it at all?
Mm-hmm. Which, yeah, goes back to my original point of, like, when I originally saw those changes, I worked it out just like, this isn't going to affect most people, but even in that previous form, yeah, the reward structure, all that would be terrible. But even in its current structure, they're looking to monetize more of D&D. That's
right.
the whole goal of any changes to the OGL, because the OGL just said, hey, you can make content using our SRD, using our rule set, essentially, for free, without restriction. Now, Hasbro or Wizards or whoever it is wants to be the landlord of D&D.
That is terminology that I saw, yeah.
And thank you, James Stephanie Sterling. Anybody who plays in their area will now have to pay a fee. Anyone who wants to be in this space, whether, it's folks of a certain size or whatever, now you have to pay the landlord. That's essentially what they're trying to do in some form. They tried to, get the most egregious version just under the radar, and that sure as hell didn't work. So now they're going to try the video game. I'll go back to the video game industry method of like, let's push the envelope and see how far we can go. And once we overstep, just like, just bring it back. And that thing that you thought was bad before, now it's just like normal.
Right. It's boiling the frog.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's an analogy that I've heard usually in politics, where it's like you always need the extremists in politics, because then, like, once somebody says we should kill all babies, the next side comes around and says, well, we shouldn't kill all babies, and all of a sudden that guy sounds reasonable, when, like, if it hadn't been, like, because somebody said something crazier, the guy that quote unquote pulls back sounds more reasonable, even though what he's saying is still also insane.
Mm-hmm. That's a pretty common political trick. You shouldn't fall for it, just as an aside for people in general.
Yeah.
I can also get people's exhaustion with just going over this. This is probably going to be our only video that we do on this until the actual new OGL comes out. The thing we didn't mention is Kyle Brink's statement did say that they're going to make it a more open process, that they're going to have essentially community feedback on, what we would like and would not like to see. So that actually took me aback, because that's, a U.S. corporation.
To me, that makes perfect sense. To
me, it makes no sense.
Well, yeah. To me, it makes sense as far as, like, the timeline goes. Like, if the blowback hadn't been as strong as it was from the original leak, like, we wouldn't have gotten to this point. They would have just they were trying to do the normal corporation thing of just making changes behind closed doors, and just publishing it, and, tough.
Slip it under the radar, and then,
exactly.
When by the time anyone figures it out, it's already in place.
Exactly. But, they underestimate, again, the community power around the TTRPG community.
I will say,
and how passionate people are
TTRPGs,
about this product in particular.
We as a community showed them fast how we felt.
Yes, and I think that's
hit them in the wallet.
I know that, like, you think that interacting with companies over Twitter is stupid, but the internet is a super valuable tool in allowing that kind of immediate reaction to happen. And again, I had said, like, it's interesting how they are using D&D Beyond as a tool to, like, now that they have D&D Beyond, like, as a tool to, publish these statements, and now they are literally going to do the same thing that they were doing with one D&D with the OGL, where they're going to, publish a draft, get community feedback. I think that's... I personally... I don't like to necessarily assign malicious intent to things off the bat, because I can see how they're moves made with ignorance, really. But ignorance to me is different than malice. I don't think they're purposefully trying to fuck over the community and undercut creators and blah, 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 blah. They're just trying to line their pockets.
Those things aren't mutually exclusive.
Exactly. But that's the thing, is that, like, they don't think about, it's that quantum thing of, like, it doesn't exist to them. They're not thinking about the community. They're not thinking about the creators that they're fucking over by trying to line their pockets. They're only thinking about lining their pockets. The consequences of that is not even something that even factored into their process. But because the situation is such, and the product is what it is, and the community is what it is, because it's just like a series of factors, they can't ignore the community. The community made itself known, and like they have clearly been made aware very quickly and very forcefully that, like, if they try to make any moves that people don't like, they're not going to see a revenue increase. They're going to see a drastic revenue decrease,
A real big dip.
which is the only thing that matters to them. They don't care, like...
To that point, that's you mentioned Twitter and, like, that effect. Like, I don't think if a bunch of people got mad on Twitter alone, that would have affected this decision at all. It's the fact that everyone got together, immediately canceled their subscriptions, was very vocal about it, telling other people to do so too. Other people did it. That actual decline in the bottom line, I think that's the major factor here. Because to bring it back, like, a U.S. corporation taking any sort of, user client input on any sort of licensing or corporate level decisions like this is extremely rare. So that's why that caught me aback of them saying, like, they're actually going to open this up and, like, take feedback and everything. So let's see how that goes. Let's hope it isn't a shit show.
It's just a very unique situation in which if they don't take community feedback, then they're not going to see any profit increase at all.
It's also going to be interesting really on how they take that feedback, because I think the only way, at least it makes sense to me right now, is that they can poll D&D Beyond users. But there are a lot of people who don't use D&D Beyond. Like, are they able to voice their opinion as well?
Yeah, like, you don't have to be a D&D Beyond user per se to go on there and respond to the...
I'm just saying, as a way to mitigate, anyone trying to, like, stuff the ballot box or, like, brigade this somehow. How do they put any sort of controls for that in place? And, like, D&D Beyond's, your D&D Beyond account in general would be that way. Like, it's not impossible, but it's harder. So, like, there's a lot up in the air. It's an interesting time to be a D&D player, fan, whatever, content creator, anything around this right now. Stuff is moving very fast, but like I said, this is probably going to be our only episode on this. Things are moving fast. But when the new OGL comes out, then we'll, take some time, read through it, and probably talk about that then when we have something actually official, rather than rampant speculation.
Yeah. Anyways.
All right.
Good God. What a mess. Goodbye.
It's been a week.
There's already, I think... Yeah. The new draft of the OGL is already up on D&D Beyond. Go and make your opinion known. I think the survey is going to remain open until February 3rd. Go.
Things are moving fast.
Yes, because they
literally
wanted
today, as we're doing this update, another update came out.
Yeah, 5 hours ago. They already initiated the OGL quote-unquote playtest, as they're framing it. In a way, I do want to, like, again, as much as Wizards has burned the trust, this is honestly, like...
Honestly, it's better than we could have hoped for.
Yeah, this is better than you could ask of from any corporation. Like,
yeah.
I know it's like, oh, asking your customer base what they want is like a low bar, but like, this is honestly something this is like pretty huge and pretty weird for any corporation to be doing.
Yeah. Very.
So it is something that, like, it's encouraging, and it's good to encourage this kind of behavior out of companies. I think if they had from jump for OGL 1.1 had been like, hey, we are making updates to the OGL. If they had just done this from from jump, I think things would have been fine.
Oh yeah, like there would still be some people who are like,
that they had. Right, no, because there are always going to be detractors, but if they had just done this, yes, exactly, the reaction would have been a lot less
no
extreme.
mass cancellations, none of that.
Right. You might have still had an amount of cancellations, you would have still had some pushback, but it wouldn't have been the reaction that it is. And I hope that this is the lesson. I hope that Wizards is a big enough entity in this space for other companies to learn from. There's already a movement amongst other game publishers for like
making their own
OGLs. Like Pathfinder. I think the company that
Paizo.
owns Pathfinder. Paizo is already like heading their own.
Kobold Press, I think, has their version.
So, yeah, go make your voice heard.
Don't be a troll. Give legitimate feedback.
Yeah, don't just go and go, fuck you, you fucking fucks, blah, 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 blah. Like, no. Realize that there are people who do care about the community who I'm sure are trying inside the company to, like, make things work both for the corporate side of things and for the community side of things. Is there a world where those two things can strike a balance realistically? Yes. Is that this world? Probably not. But we can strive to make that a reality, and make it understood by the people who own these companies and don't understand what it is that they have in their, in front of them. Make it understood that they have no business without the community and without the approval of the community.
All right. I think that's a good note to leave it off on. Bye.
Bye.